Hello viewers, yes, this is Ranjana ma'am and you are watching. Yes, it's mine as well as your channel. So this time it is for my ICSE students. So what happened? First there was a strong flash of light and then another startled me. So he was surprised by these two flashes of light. So he tries to assume what could be the reason. As they are stumbling towards the street, what happens? We fell. Why did they fall? Tripped by something at our feet. They fall because something is at their feet and they had not seen it, and so naturally they fell. And just see the horror. I gasped out when I saw it was a head. So he gasps out in horror when he sees it's the head of someone. So he wants to apologize. Excuse me, please excuse me. He asked for apology not knowing that the man is already dead. He was dead. So a dead man lying on their path, and in their horror to get out of the house to the street, they trip and fall on someone. And after apologizing, he realizes that this man is already dead. A gate had crushed him. So what is the reason for his death? A gate had crushed him, and that is why he lies there dead on the street. There we stood afraid. Think of the panic that they are experiencing. A house standing before us tilted, swayed. Suppose you are standing here and a house in front of you, it keeps on tilting, 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 and then finally it falls. Toppled and crashed. So these are the different stages before it finally crashes. What? Tilted, swayed, toppled, crashed. Fire sprang up in the dust spread by the wind, and the wind aids the fire to spread, helps the fire to spread. It dawned on us we must get to the hospital. We needed aid. Suddenly he realized that we should now get to the hospital because we need help. Not only do we need help, he is a doctor. And I should help my staff too. So this realization dawns him, I am a doctor, I should reach the hospital and help my staff in fighting this disaster, looking after the injured people. Though this made sense to me, then I wondered how I could. So that time it had made sense since he is a doctor, but then he feels that how could I think of helping when I need help? I am in no condition to help. My legs gave way. That means he couldn't walk anymore. His thigh had been mangled, remember? He had put out a piece of splinter from his leg or something. I sat down on the ground because he couldn't walk anymore. So what does he do? He sits down on the ground. Thirst seized me. He is feeling very thirsty. But no water could be found. Yes, the water in the house, maybe wherever you store water, it must have, if the house has crashed and toppled, so water also must have been destroyed. There is no water to be found anywhere. My breath was short, so he was panting, but bit by bit my strength seemed to revive and I got up at length. But he is fighting within him, and finally his strength comes back and he gets up to his feet. I was still naked. So in the garden only he realized that his underpant and his whatever, the inners had disappeared. So he is still naked, but I felt no shame. This is the time of crisis, not to bother whether you are clothed or not. In a time of crisis, no one bothers about this. The main focus is to save the lives. Save his life, save the life of his wife and the lives of others if possible. This thought disturbed me somewhat till I came upon a soldier standing silently. So this thought that I am still naked, but why don't I feel ashamed? We are civilized people and this is not the way we should be walking in the streets. But then he sees a soldier who gave the towel round his neck to me. So the soldier offers him a towel. It is said to be symbolic also. Japan had been destroyed by America, and the soldier is symbolic of the American people. So later America only helped Japan to rebuild itself. So this is symbolic. Injured doctor is symbolic of Japan, and Japan had been very badly affected by the atomic explosion, and it is said that even America was not aware of the aftermath, how it would affect. So even America was shocked at the mass scale of destruction, and it came forward to help Japan to rebuild itself. So the soldier is symbolic of the American gesture of trying to be of help. My legs, stiff with dried blood, rebelled. So his legs refused to walk. Why? It has become stiff with the dried blood. Remember the thigh injury he had got? I said to Yeko-san, you must go on ahead. So what does he tell Yeko-san? Yeko-san, my legs are not obeying my orders, they are rebelling. So it's no use waiting here and endangering your life also. You too need aid, and since you can walk, please go ahead. She did not wish to, but in our distress, what choice had we? How could she leave her husband? So she did not wish to go, but at this moment of crisis, there was no other option also. She could not carry her husband, so she had to leave him and go for help. A dreadful loneliness came over me when she had gone. So up till now they were together, but once she leaves, he is all to himself, alone. So he feels very lonely, horribly lonely. My mind ran at high speed, my body crept behind. Mind is the fastest traveler. So the mind keeps on traveling, but the body is limping behind. The body is not so fast because he is badly injured, physically he is injured. I saw the shadowy forms of people. Some were ghosts, some scarecrows, all were wordless, dumb. So all the people come out of their houses who are in the streets also, they come out, and where are they going? They are going to the hospital. And why does the doctor say that we're like ghosts? Most probably they must be looking black because of the explosion, burning everywhere. So they must have come out of their burnt houses. So they are all dark. Some looking like scarecrows. You have seen scarecrows? Many times the farmers used to put them in the field to drive away these birds. So they look like scarecrows. Why? Scarecrows, they have their hands stretched apart. So here also they may be coming in a way with their hands apart from their bodies. So some scarecrows, all were wordless, dumb. No one was speaking anything. A procession of people coming. They were looking like ghosts, scarecrows, but no one uttered a word. Arms stretched straight out. That is why the poet, or rather the doctor, says they are like scarecrows. Why? Because the arms of the scarecrows are shown. If you have seen any scarecrow, you can hunt in the Google for an image of the scarecrow and you find their arms are stretched apart. So these people also, many of them, they had their hands stretched out, shoulder to dangling hand. So why were they walking in this way with their arms stretched? A little later the doctor understands. It took some time for me to understand. The friction on their burns caused so much pain. They feared to shaft flesh against flesh again. So maybe the hand is burned, the body is burned. So they are afraid that if they put their hands down, so the body, the hands rubbing against the body will cause much more pain. They feared to shaft flesh against flesh again. That means the friction caused by the flesh and chafing against flesh again. The flesh of the hand chafing against the flesh of the body or the side. So it caused so much pain, they were not ready to experience another pain. Those who could, that means those who could walk, shuffled in a blank parade towards the hospital. So they are walking towards the hospital as if marching, one straight line, one after the other. I saw dismayed a woman with a child stand in my path. So he seems sad and dismayed, a woman standing on his way with a baby, with a child. And why is he dismayed? Both naked. So he feels, how can a woman come out into the streets naked? Had they come back from the bath? Were they in their bath when this took place, when this horrible thing happened, this disaster happened, that they have rushed out of their bath, and that is why both of them are naked? But can't he understand that he is also naked? Why? This has robbed them of their human dignity, this explosion. It is symbolic. The people becoming naked means this atomic explosion has deprived human beings of their dignity. I turn my gaze. So he turns his gaze away. He doesn't want to look at this woman. He feels ashamed. So he turns his gaze away. But he himself is naked. He has forgotten that. But was at a loss that she should stand thus. So, but he can't understand, how could she come out into the streets in this way? Till I came across a naked man. And then he sees a man coming out, and he is also naked. So explosion was such that it had burnt their clothes. And now the thought arose, and now he realizes he is naked, the woman is naked, the baby is naked, another man is naked. So what could be the reason? And then a thought comes into his mind, that some strange thing has stripped us of our clothes. So something strange has happened which robbed us of our clothes. The face of an old woman on the ground was marred with suffering. So an old woman was lying on the ground, and her face looked horrible. Marred is the opposite of making and marring, we say. That means destroyed. The facial expressions looked so horrible on account of her suffering. But she made no sound. That means it was said that people had turned to stone. They could not make any sound. They were suffering in silence. Silence was common to us all. No one, all of them are suffering, but no one is groaning or uttering any sound of pain. So what is common among them? Yes, even nakedness is common among them. And the thing common among each one of them is silence. They are so panic stricken, so horrified at this strange thing that has happened and has deprived them of their human dignity, that they have fallen silent. Silence was common to us all. I heard no cries of anguish or a single word. Yes, so when he looks at the injured people, those who are marching in a line, or the woman who has come out with her baby, or the man, or the woman who is on the ground, her face marred with suffering. So everyone he sees, they are all suffering, but none of them are making any groaning sound to be heard. No sound is audible. Why? Because they are too shocked to react in this way. They are too shocked to speak out, as if they have been deprived of their speaking power, as if they have been deprived of their voice. They have as if become dumb. So it is an anti-war poem, as I said, and it tells you, or it depicts the horrors of war. Think of the people of Hiroshima, how they suffered. I used to teach, I told you that. So in that chapter it was that the fire died out at 5 p.m. in the afternoon, in the evening. Remember, it had started in the morning, nearly 7:30 to 8. Between this time, this horrible incident had taken place, and the whole day fire was burning. The wind had helped the fire to spread, and at 5 p.m. the fire finally had died out. Why? there was nothing left to burn. And this line had touched me the most. Hiroshima had ceased to exist. That means it was as if a death for Hiroshima, it had become non-existent. Why? Because of the atomic explosion. So you get to know the horrible things. The doctor, he as if is writing this in his journal, doctor's journal. So he is writing what really happened. The morning was quite cool, calm, no signs of the disaster that is to affect and change their lives forever. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, 2 flashes of light. And then everything starts swaying, tremors felt, and the burning sensation, injury, the mangled thigh, the cheek, there is a bruise, cut. Yeko-san comes out injured. They head towards the street, leaving their house, fall on a dead man, and then a building in front of them collapses, and then he cannot walk. His the dried blood on his feet and his legs rebel, and a soldier offers him a towel, but since he cannot walk anymore, he tells his wife to continue to go to the hospital to get some aid for herself. She is reluctant, unwilling, but she has no choice. And when he is alone, he feels very lonely, and then he feels very lonely, and then he sees a parade of men. All of them, they are suffering, and yet there is no sound coming out from their mouth. And then he sees a woman with a baby. Both of them are naked, so he tries to assume whether it is just that they had come out from the bath. He can't understand why they are both naked. Have they come out from their bath? And then he sees a naked man, and he realizes that something horrible must have taken place, which has deprived them of their human dignity. Just to think, walking naked in the streets. So something horrible must have happened. And finally he realizes that we are all united in a common bond of suffering. Silence is common to us, so that is why no groans are heard. Regarding the theme, we can say that yes, it is an anti-war poem where the horrors of war is depicted, and it is, you can say that it is an earnest plea as if to stop wars in future, trying to show you the sufferings of the people. Through the sufferings of the people, the poet is trying to drive home the idea that war does not give anything, but in return it takes away a lot from us. The irreparable damage that war causes. Just see the sufferings of the people. Everyone is affected, whether it's a baby or a woman or an old woman or a man, everyone. So how they are suffering, injured, many are killed. Think of that man lying on the road dead, on whose body or on whose head this man trips. The doctor and his wife, they trip and fall. They have been deprived of their human dignity. So, and the suffering, they could not dare to touch their flesh or rub their flesh against each other. The bare touch of flesh against flesh caused such immeasurable pain that they keep their hands like scarecrows. They stretch their arms aside like scarecrows. And all of them, they are heading towards the hospital. No, all of them have become silent. So the theme is anti-war. It is an anti-war poem. It deals with the sufferings of the victims of war, and the doctor is also a victim. And it's remarkable to see how he keeps his cool, how he remains calm. So most of the images which we find here are visual imagery. Some of them are quite horrible, they are scary, like some were ghosts, some scarecrows, all wordless, dumb. Imagine a line of people, their faces dark. Why? They have come out maybe from their burning houses. And you must have seen in a fire accident when people are brought out, or they seem black because of the fire, the smoke which settles on their faces and skin when they try to come out from a building which has caught fire. Same for them. So that is why they were all like ghosts, scarecrows, and all were wordless, dumb, arms stretched out, shoulder to dangling hand. So this is a scary image. Not only that, another one when he topples against this old man who is already dead and lying in the street, and he tries to apologize, and then he realizes, oh my God, he is already dead. And then the way the house in front of him, it falls to the ground. It's a very scary image. Tilted, swayed, toppled and crashed. Fire sprang up in the dust. So these are images depicting horror. Otherwise it's we don't have any ornamental language, and neither is there any need for ornamental language. It is very precise. The poem has 63 lines, and yes, it is the account given by the doctor. He is one of the victims of this Holocaust. He is a victim of this atomic explosion, and he as if writes down in his diary all the happenings which he witnesses in a detached manner, in the same way as he pulls the glass out from his face, from his cheek, in a detached manner. He does the same. I mean, in the same way as if he writes down the accounts of what he had seen in his diary. It is as if a diary account of the victims of the tragedy in Hiroshima. So in this poem, the poet Vikram Seth, he has been successful in building up a very mysterious atmosphere, an eerie atmosphere of the tragic circumstances after the explosion. So I think there is no more problem. I have tried to be as lucid as possible, and it is for you all to go through the video and judge whether it's very simple or not. And after that, don't forget to give a like, and also please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Bye for the time being. Soon I'll be coming up with the homecoming for my ICSE students.